MJF comes out with a cane, promotes his match with Joe at the pay-per-view. Doesn't like Joe personally, but professionally, he respects him and what he's done for the industry. Joe didn't come here to line his pockets. He believed in AEW. And he mentions that when he was a child, he got a poster in the mail for TNA. And he was...
Who's sending out TNA posters in the mail?
I have no idea, but probably it was from Ross Foreman, I would guess, to their mailing list of some sort. But anyway, got a TNA poster, and this converted MJF to become a TNA fan. He started to check them out and was amazed at what he saw, including Samoa Joe. No one cared that he looked unconventional because he was the baddest man on the planet. And later, his talents were not rewarded in WWE. Boo! Proper mistreatment of talent. He proved you don't have to be a massive male model to be a top guy, and you paved the way for guys like me. I see these two being very distinctly different people. But nonetheless,
I appreciate the creativity in being able to link, I guess, your own career with Samoa Joe's. But number one, I don't even know if Joe would be like the first person you would name as somebody who broke that mold. You know, like there have been people that I think don't look like a typical male model that have achieved even greater
McFoley
status.
break the mold. Maybe
yeah, like I don't know, Yokozuna. Like, did you know how far back are we going back here? You know,
Paul White.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to somehow suggest that Joe broke ground for MJF for his position. Anyway,
non-model. So it's like for dudes that don't look good.
I mean, we've all seen MJF with his shirt off, right? Like this is about, like, I would say much closer to male model than Samoa Joe.
Maybe Lance Von Erich broke the mold for the MJFs of the world.
Sure.
So he says that without Joe, there may not be an AEW. It's like, go on. And he thanks Joe. He says, you know, I'm not too shabby myself. I've paved a pretty nice road for myself. I built this place brick by brick since day one. The crowd's chanting MJF and notes some of the biggest names he's beaten, including Cody Rhodes, Phil, Jericho, Danielson, Moxley, Omega. But the person I was most lucky to survive was Samoa Joe, who is a wrestling legend. But on December 30th, it's not about your legacy, Joe. It's about mine. Calls Joe the final boss of this sport and promises that regardless of his knee, hip, and shoulder injuries, he's going to beat him within an inch of his life, and promises to show the world it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. And on December the 30th, I'm going to put you down. And with that, he breaks his cane in half, because real men don't rely on objects to stand on their own 2 feet. And there you have it. I mean, first of all, in 2023, to be able to non-ironically use it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog, and this crowd just ate it up. I mean, that is an over baby face, okay? Because that's a gutsy line to try and use, and not just get laughed at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely award points. Well, maybe when he said it, you take away points, but the fact that he got a reaction for it, maybe you do give him points for it. Yeah, I thought overall, okay, despite maybe the holes in some of the logic, in his comparison points about Samoa Joe, I thought this was like a good, serious MJF promo that I think is a good antidote to maybe a lot of the criticisms about his particular storylines right now being too entertainment and not enough sport. Like, we know he can cut these great promos just simply talking about building up his opponent and then talking about wanting to break him down in the body of a professional wrestling match. And this was largely that. The entertainment was to come.
The goal of this promo was to build up the match and make it feel bigger than it did before this segment. And I thought he did it. I thought this was like a great promo to build up a match that is a month away. And I just thought it set the table for this rematch. And what is this guy fighting for? Like, what is MJF trying to get out of a second win against this guy? And then all hell breaks loose. The lights go out and 4 masked men attack him. And Joe runs out to his aid, clears the ring. And then we get a screen with text. I think the same font from Clerks as well.
Is that right? Is it Kevin Smith? Is it Silent Bob and Jay
Kevin
who are
Smith
under the
didn't write
mask?
this, I promise you. Okay, this was man. In the shadows, our game begins. Next week, MJF and Joe, will you face the unknown in a tag team? Are you a hero, Max?
Okay, so you actually saw everything?
Yes.
Because at least on the fight feed, like it just went dark for half of this. So
It did go dark, and then eventually this came up. I did have the same, like there was delay between this running, and I didn't know if that was on my end.
But you saw the text before this, because this was the first thing that I saw. Will you face the unknown in a tag match? So whatever was before.
Okay, yeah, there was text before this that I saw.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Well, yeah.
MJF just gets on the mic. I'm sick of this Scooby-Doo bullshit, and he will take them out one by one and unmask them, accepts the tag match, and Joe is pissed because MJF is hurt, and he wants to keep this guy healthy for the title match next month. So we've got the partners that are not going to get along. I really enjoyed the first half of this segment, and I utterly detested the second half. This is a perfect exhibit A of a lot of the dissent about what is going on right now. And I think Corey Graves nailed it when, as soon as the segment aired, he just typed retribution with a question mark. And
he did.
Perfectly summarized, like, this devil stuff. Like, I'm fine for a prolonged reveal that leads somewhere and there's a mystery attached to it. But this is so goofy. Forget the fact that this is your main storyline. But dude, this is everything I don't want out of this show. And this segment perfectly summarized it, of the two competing goals that you are trying to achieve in your main event scene.
Well, I mean, maybe instead of tweeting retribution, maybe I would have tweeted Dark Order, because I certainly felt like it had very similar vibes to that one. And well, what exactly is sort of like the difference? It's bad production, namely, John. You know, like when you're doing these sort of like lights on,
cheesy.
Lights off, you cannot be corny. You cannot be cheesy. You better hope that you have, I don't know, like Hollywood level production when it comes to some of this stuff. And this was like so poorly done. You know, the lights flickering on and off, and then the worst part is, because they're flickering on and off, you could still see what's going on in the ring. And it's not like these masked men came into the ring to attack MJF. They basically ran into the ring, and MJF just kind of got into position for them, as if the lights were off, but we could see everything going on. It looks bad. And to come off of, like, you know, what was pretty, like a pretty good serious promo from MJF into all of this sports entertainment like stuff is unfortunately leaving a bad taste in your mouth. Clearly at this point, they're using Joe as a surrogate for Adam Cole, as, you know, his tag team partner who's there to defend him. And it's watering Samoa Joe down, a guy who's typically, you know, one of the more real and serious, you know, wrestlers out there. To have him, it's the first time they did it at the pay-per-view, I thought was fine. It made sense. He's doing this to earn the title shot. To keep it up in this fashion, I don't know. It's kind of breaking my sort of immersion a lot.
I hated this. I thought it was easily the worst thing on the show.
The tech issues didn't help, at least for me.
No, but it feels very, very rinky dink, but it's like at its core, it's just a bad angle, and it really comes off as just really, it was the contrast that just smacked me in the face in this segment. Like this is the perfect 10 minutes to explain to people you are trying to do two completely different things, and it's almost like pick one and go with it. But you're trying to do both, and it was very glaring. And then okay, for all I want to say about that, at least it got our reaction from the commentators when they came back, that says AEW IT security is on this matter regarding the devil, because as Shivani explains, that these band of devil worshippers have been able to tap into AEW's lighting and broadcast system. And then they inform them that Tony Khan has made the match for next week, and the announcers have to be shocked that Tony has done what? It's like, oh my God, this is the best. Please give us faces to AEW's IT security team, please. Please let like Chris Harrington be leading the IT security team.
Maybe it'll be Sammy Callahan, the hacker.
Oh, they've hacked into our
and
our broadcast system.
Be Sammy Callahan and Mustafa Ali as the hackers. coming in.
My God, don't give him ideas.
No, it's terrible. Like this sort of like
awful.
hard to believe in type of angle makes everybody who has to push it look bad. That includes Joe. That includes your commentators.
It kills your credibility. Like it's such a goofy angle that is the opposite of what you are trying to achieve with an angle like this.